Hello, my name's Darren Wright and I'm going to show you how the Inside Outcomes risk tracker system works. This is a system that we've developed for client management and helping you to demonstrate the impact you have with clients and demonstrate equally how the work that you do directly aligns with national outcome frameworks. It's a web-based system, ideal for using on tablets or mobile devices or using in your office. It's a really simple system for trying to group your clients together and showing the progress with them. As you can see, I've logged in as a staff member there, staff member called staffa. This is all dummy data in here. What I'll do is I'll open a location. It's probably worth saying that we try to group things together in terms of organisations. An organisation can have any number of projects. A project can have any number of locations, or locations can cross across projects. But locations need not be geographic. They could be teams. But they're a good way of grouping consistent clients together and clients that you would like to report as a group. So we open a practice up. We've got 4 clients in there. Usually you'd have a lot more in there. As I say, this is dummy data. This is a GP-based project, so sort of like an advice agency or possibly health trainers. What I'll do now is create a new client. As you see, just press the new client button, put some details in. We will call this client Eric Jones. I don't know who Eric Jones is. And what else we'll put in? You can put as much or as little information as you want into this. Put a postcode in. Give him a phone number. Made up. Eric. Let's see. Let's say he was referred by a GP to this project. It's not unusual. This will be the GP project because that's the one that this staff member is associated with, and we'll say that he's going to the pretend practice. So there we go. We've set up the client, basic information for him. Here we have like a summary screen. I'll go through each element of this, but this is the first screen you come to, and it gives you, at a glance, information on the client. So as you can see, got his name here. We can edit if we want to. We have his phone number to be able to contact him, his email address. I'll just give him some basic demographic information. Drop down lists here. So we'll say he's employed, part-time, white Scottish, male, 16th of April, 61, not disabled. I won't put any more data in there, and I will show you why. If we add that there, you see that it appears on the list, so you've got easy reference to it, and you'll see that there are these items here which I have not completed. If we go back to the summary screen, in the bottom panel here, we have a list of all the demographic data that's not been completed. We don't compel people to put information in, but there is always a prompt where information hasn't been put in, so you can be flexible with what information you collect and the way that you collect it. On this top panel here, we have provided a handy way of recording information that's relevant to the appointment or relevant to meetings. So for Eric, we might say needs a hearing loop. That's always there when this client is opened up. If you're going to be organising an appointment with him, these are the sort of things that you know that you need to sort out. So it could be an interpreter. These are not notes about Eric, it's just the things you need for the meeting. So the very core of our system is the risk maps. What we've done is we've created a number of risk maps. This is our Living Well risk map, which is very focused on health. We've identified key risks that people who turn up to preventative services present with. Each of these risks we've associated with national outcome frameworks. So NHS outcome framework, public health, social care, social justice, DWP, Department of Works and Pensions policy papers. We can show you where each of these risks appears within those national outcome frameworks. There are a number of risk maps that we've got. We've got an ageing well one for older people. We've got a diabetes one. We have starting well, developing well, all linked with the public health life course. If you click on this show guidance button here, you've got a little bit more information to decide on whether it is a risk for the individual that you're talking to. I'll just close that down to show how small it can be. And this is important because it's very easy to use on a tablet. What would happen is the client presents to the service. They might be referred from a GP because they've got particular things down here. Probably useful to say here that in terms of personal circumstances, behaviour and status, we've essentially split things up into socio-economic outcomes, behavioural outcomes and clinical outcomes. And it's only the combination of resolving those three that really gives you a bit of a head start helping people make those preventative changes in their lives to tackle health and well-being, or to improve health and well-being. So a client would sit down with an advisor or staff member, and as they talk about their life, they would disclose certain risks. So in Eric's case, he might say that he's in unsuitable housing, might identify that he's physically inactive, very low fruit and veg, suffering from low well-being and raised blood pressure. Ideally, you would think that one of these risks would have prompted the referral into the service, so you would have to be equipped with some of the information before it starts. But all of this is not based on any forms, it's all disclosure. As you can see, we've begun to award Eric with scores there. That's because we've weighted the individual risks on each of the risk maps. So in the case of unsuitable housing, we see that as a C. We would grade people in personal circumstances from A through to D. A being the most extreme personal circumstances risks, and D being none at all. If I just add another one on there, you see C's, outdoor spaces is also a C. If we added domestic abuse, that would go up to A. I won't assign those to, I will just delete that off there. Over time, and just clarifying that behaviour is scored from 0 to 9, and clinical is scored from 0 to 9 as well. As you'd spend time with the client, subsequent sessions, they might identify that some of these things have been resolved. Click on the resolve button, and you see he's moved in terms of behaviour from 4 down to 2. It's really important to stress that is how you judge the outcomes. Just to say there, his highest score is listed as 2. It's because it's graded on what's happened in a day. So you don't, if you make lots of changes within a day, like adding risks and removing them, you don't have ridiculous scores adding up. So if you remove physical inactivity as a risk, you know you've achieved something against the National Outcome Framework. And that goes for every single thing here. And these are the things you can easily report to your commissioners. We also have the facility here to record actions and notes. As you see, it lists all of the assessed and resolved risks, lists the scores there. We can add any note. So talked to Eric. That goes on there. You can see it's listed there. We could refer to another service, say alcohol service. Add there, and that's added in there as a note. This gives you the true flexibility to gauge a client over time. You get a distinct box for every day. So you essentially create a timeline of your interventions with Eric, so you can see how he's improved or not improved over time. You can also have a history of everything that you've done with him, and we feel that doing this through free-form notes, you actually get a much richer quality of data than you would have been forced to complete things in prescribed boxes. You can also change the location of project if he moves around within your system, or you can also list did not attend, and that's very important for being able to keep a record of clients that consistently don't arrive at appointments. In terms of files, you can add any files that you want, scanned letters, referral forms, anything like that. They can be uploaded to the server and attached to the individual client. And we also have a facility for questions. This is an important thing we've added for organisations who want to create their own questions. There are going to be some things that are part of a contract that you need to monitor, which we won't necessarily have in our system. You can create multiple choice questions, you can create free text questions. It's really up to you. Create as many as you want, and I'll show you how you can do that a little bit later. If we have a look in the address thing, I think this thing to note here is this area of deprivation label. When we put the postcode in, the system does a check against the top 10% areas with highest indices of multiple deprivation. This postcode's on that list, So this client is listed as living in an area of deprivation. And this allows you to then run reports against the sort of outcomes you have with people who live in areas of deprivation, which is a very, very key bit of information you might need in applying for funding to work with particular client groups. If we go back to the summary screen, what we can see here now is it's populated this bottom right box with all of the active risks. So we've got a little bit of a picture of what Eric's overall issues are, but you can also see what his scores are. Now, what we've collected there is a great deal of information, but in a very, very simple way. But obviously, one of the key things is really what you can do with that information once it's in there. So one of the things I'll do is I'll log out, and I'll log back in as a supervisor. This is the supervisor that can oversee that project and a number of other projects. So it is very secure. If we log in here, I'll just show you some of the tools that we have for managing organisations. So if you come in here, you can see the list of projects that we have. This was the GP project that we were just looking at. You can see the name of the project, the risk map that's associated with it. You can associate any risk maps with it. You can see any additional questions. You can create a new question if you want. You can either put the question in there, put any answers, or leave blank for a free text box. We'll just cancel that. Add any staff members that you want. You can associate them with different projects. You can give them different roles within the organisation. You can remove them, change their passwords. Create any locations you want. Associate them with different projects again. So like a project, a debt project could have the same... locations can span across debt projects, health projects, older people's projects. So you've got quite a few tools there that a supervisor can do to set this up, so you don't have to come back to us as inside outcomes every time you need to change things. You've got full management of your own system. But also you have the ability to run reports. So here's just some examples of the reports that we've put in here. We have an action required report. We'll just run this on the GP project, which you know we've got 5 clients in there when you had a look at that earlier. What this is showing, you pick a date and it will show you all the clients that have had no action since that date. So this John Test here, last activity was the 4th of November. So that's identified someone that you either need to invite in for an appointment or you need to discharge them. And it allows you to keep your client list manageable. Activity report, very simple report that shows you information for the individual project, shows the number of assessments, active clients, clients that were discharged, DNAs, number of sessions that took place, where people were referred from, where people were referred to. I'm not putting any filters on here, which you can also do. You can filter by date. This ad hoc report allows you to filter by any element of data that's in the database. If I just select a project for it to identify what fields are associated with it, what you can see here is every element of data you've recorded. You also notice you've got user-generated questions here. So you can run reports on whether people were registered with a GP because I created that question, number of attendances. Just an example of the data we've got there, run by gender. You see you've got a count there, so if you needed to put statistics together on either ethnicity or gender or anything like that, you've got the numbers. But you can also see the impact you're having with those people within each group. So we can see that clients are particularly improving. 80% of clients have improved where their gender is not stated. I don't read anything into that. Obviously, it is made up data. But we could pick something else. We could do it by ethnic origin as well. So every element of data in here is reportable and is cross-referenceable. Going through these in alphabetical order, we have an audit report. Let's just pick. What this does is randomly select clients in terms of new clients, current clients and discharge clients. There were no discharge clients in this project and there were no new clients in that previous month. But this allows you to get into client records to have a look at what the quality of data is, because it's important to make sure that all data is consistent. And this is a key tool in managing the way that you collect data. A commissioner's report that gives you a very simple breakdown which is sort of been identified as the key elements that commissioners want. So the number of clients that are active, also information on what percentage of clients have improved in terms of personal circumstances, behaviour, and status or clinical factors, because this is what we're really aiming to do, is demonstrate the improvement that clients have had, and so we're demonstrating the impact you're having. This isn't necessarily about activity, it's about the impact you have and the benefit that you provide to clients. We have a very interesting and I think very useful open data report here, which anonymises clients to postcode sector, so B219 there, which narrows it down to around 10,000 people. It shows for that sector how many clients you've seen, what issues people have been assessed with, what issues have been resolved with. You can draw a geographical picture of the need and outcomes using this for your organisation, but also because we make sure that people collect information in a consistent way, we can help you to aggregate your data with other organisations to begin showing pictures of need for a particular area. Very useful for creating things like a joint strategic needs assessment. You'll notice this as CSV button that appears on all of the reports, and what we allow you to do is export all of your data to Excel. I'll show you a good example of that with our resolution report. This shows you issues that have been opened and issues that have been resolved in terms of personal circumstances, status and behaviour. If I just take that out as a CSV report, I can open it up in Excel. You can do much more of your own reporting and your own sort of drawing of graphs and things like that, because you can just take all of this out to Excel. But what this has put is some extra columns on here. So we know what issues have been open, we know what issues have been closed, and we know what issues and where they relate to individual outcome frameworks. So we can have a look under NICE guidance, we can have a look in terms of improving outcomes and supporting health. And you can find exactly where it is. So when you talk to your commissioners about the impact you have with people, you can show exactly in the outcome frameworks they're being judged on how you have that impact. Amazingly useful tool for going for funding and for writing tenders. And we have an export data function which just allows you to take all of the data within the system, export it and run your own reports on there, because we want to give you complete freedom to do things. So we've got very simple tools for managing individual clients and setting clients up and recording information. So it's 1 or 2 minutes for setting a client up, but very powerful reporting tools to give you the sort of information to demonstrate that you're having an impact on people. As I say, all web-based, so it can be used on a tablet. It's a very simple system, but very, very powerful. Thank you for watching this.